Hey, Salina.
Hey, Nikki.
I was thinking it was your turn to start, but it's not. It's mine.
Gotcha.
My bad.
It's fun, isn't it?
It is.
We'll have it down by the end of the season.
Will we? Will we? I don't know about that. Well, between my scratchy voice and your...
Perimenopause?
I don't know about that. I was going to say hot flash, but yes. You're like sweating over there taking clothes off. Between those two things, behind the scenes, this is a fascinating episode to watch.
Yeah. So this is why we don't do YouTube.
This is why we don't do YouTube, why we're not filming any of it. We're just recording the audio because my voice sounds so good today. But we're up to our Carrie episode. The woman, the myth, the legend. I don't know.
The Viagra.
I was going to say that. It's a throwback.
Yeah. Somebody will get it.
They will. So the episodes we covered for this episode are Season 1, Episode 8, Three's a Crowd. Season 3, Episode 11, Running with Scissors. Season 4, Episode 2, The Real Me. Season 6, Episode 12, A Woman's Right to Shoes. And because I am who I am and I'm extra wordy, there's more to say about each of those, but that gives you the high level what we're talking about. So for Three's a Crowd, I went back to IMDb for our summaries this week because I was feeling like in our last episode you were feeling like maybe they had gotten a little verbose and wonky because I was pulling them from that other website.
Well, not you.
So this IMDb summary of Three's a Crowd. Architect and amazing lover Jack, an ideal catch for Princess Charlotte, whom she met at many disease benefits, strongly suggest a trio with another woman. The friends are divided if or how. Samantha does it with a married 37-year-old wine importer, Ken Shear. I'm just now realizing I'm not sure this one's written any better than the other ones were.
Well, it's a good time to realize it.
Do it live. So this one was written by Nicole Holofcener? Sounds good enough.
Sure.
Directed by Jenny Bix. Guest star Gary or Jerry. I'm just really on top of my game today. It's either Jerry or Gary Berman. You'll recognize him as Uncle Frank from Home Alone.
Yes.
He played the therapist in this one. So then we have 20-something girls versus 30-something women. The summary of this one is the girls wrestle with the onslaught of 20-something girls when they're invited to a beach party in the Hamptons. Charlotte suffers a nasty punishment for her passively lying about her age. Her even younger toy boy, Greg, gives her crabs. Sam fires her. I thought we were going to talk around it, and then we just went right in. Sam fires her assistant, Nina, only to find she's hosting the A-list party in the Hamptons using Sam's contact list. This one was written by Darren Star and Candace Bushnell and directed by Darren Star. The guest star in this one, the girl that played, the young lady that played Carrie's protege, did you recognize her?
No.
It's Rachel Miner. She was married to Macaulay Culkin. Do you remember the whole thing? They got married when they were like 17 or something, and it was like huge news. That's her.
I forgot about all that.
I saw her and I thought, this is someone I should know. She's somebody famous. I couldn't quite place her, though, so that's who she is.
Huh.
So then for Running with Scissors, Charlotte's wedding planning panic is easily solved when Sam refers her to stylist Anthony Marantino, the Italian mother she never had. Paranoid Miranda worries about a scary man in a restaurant sandwich suit saying, "Eat me," in a woman-unfriendly way. And there were a lot of quotes in all of that. Eat me, right. Woman-unfriendly way, just so you know. It was written by Dennis Erdman.
Blimpy.
Subway. Directed by Michael Patrick King. And I think I have these backwards. I think it was written by Michael Patrick King and Candace Bushnell and directed by Dennis Erdman. Sorry about that, guys.
We'll give you a pass.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. And then The Real Me. While Carrie and Stanford hang out at the bar of Brasserie 8.5 in Midtown Manhattan, they run into Lynn Cameron, an old friend, who is producing a New York fashion show featuring real models and famous New Yorkers as models. She insists Carrie model in the show for her. You okay?
Yeah.
There's a lot of facial expressions happening.
I was trying to take off my bracelets without noise, and now I'm going to talk about it, so that'll help.
Well, only because I called you out. So this one was written by Michael Patrick King and Candace Bushnell and directed by Michael Patrick King. This one was just lousy with guest stars, so I just wrote down a few
Good
of them.
Lord, yes.
Margaret Cho, fun fact, the only stand-up show I've ever walked out of. Hers was deeply offensive. Tony Hale played Tiger, the photographer's assistant. Alan Cumming played Oscar, the designer. And Heidi Klum was Heidi Klum.
Yes. And now I want to ask, what was the joke that made you walk out?
Oh, I don't even remember. I think there was just like a lot of them, and it was just like to the point. It just wasn't even funny. She was just saying things for shock
Too
value.
vaginal?
I don't think it was that.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it was that. That doesn't seem like something that would bother me. I can't remember. There was a group of us, and two of us were like, I'm done here. Are you done here? Let's go.
Yeah.
All right. And then A Woman's Right to Shoes, which we kind of talked about in an Extra Sugar earlier this year. But as a reminder, Carrie has no luck at a baby shower. Stanford snatched the last good gift from the list, and host Kira makes everyone take off their shoes. Carrie's Manolos disappear, and Miranda insists she should be compensated. Kira offers to pay for them until she finds out they cost $485. This one was directed by Timothy Van Patten and written by Jenny Bix, Amy Harris, and Candace Bushnell.
Okay. I was waiting. Or do you know who the friend is in real life?
Who Kira is? No.
She's famous in real life.
I did know because I looked her up too, but I didn't write it down. Tell me.
She was
Blow
like
my mind.
really uber famous when she was like young.
Okay.
I think she was either in a really, really famous movie with Paul Newman or Robert Redford, and I hear it. I'm pretty sure it was Paul, but no, I'm not going to.
Tatum O'Neal.
Tatum O'Neal, thank you.
Yep.
Nope, and it wasn't either one of them either. Ugh. There's like Paul Newman, Robert Redford, and there's a third, and they're all very similar. It's like Paper Moon or something like that, maybe. Is the name of the movie.
Paper Moon, co-starring her
Hey.
father, Ryan O'Neal.
That makes a lot of sense.
She was
Glad I got all that on a recording.
youngest person ever to win a competitive Academy Award.
There you go. That's it. I knew there
I
was
wouldn't have
something
guessed
big-
that from
big
this
in there.
performance.
Okay. I like how you're just making sure we get all these people on here one day. You're like, I don't care for Margaret Cho. I don't think Tatum O'Neal's a very good actor.
Okay, clarify.
Okay.
I did not like Margaret Cho's stand-up comedy in 2005. Not the same thing as saying I don't like Margaret Cho, because actually we went because I loved Margaret Cho. That show was in particular just like, I think because she was in a college town, we were in Athens, she pulled out like all the stops, and I was just, that sort of humor is not for me. I much prefer like, if you throw in an F word every other word and talk about really graphic things, I'm just not going to enjoy it. Not for me. It is for some people, because there were lots more people who didn't leave. I think Margaret Cho's a delight, Margaret. If you hear this, you're a delight. Tatum O'Neal, they just didn't give her that much to work with, and what she had to work with wasn't Academy Award winning.
I think, we can. I
Tatum
don't. This
O'Neal,
really doesn't even.
You're more
factor
successful
into
than
this.
I am.
This doesn't really factor into later on, but like, there was something about that episode in general, like the banter between Stanford and Carrie, that just didn't really work for me.
Is it weird, their banter?
Yes.
Because that might be an observation I have, that she has such a weird way of talking to him.
Yeah.
Almost
it's like a
childlike.
different. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no! Now I'm a little fairy. Or
And it just
whatever
didn't
she
feel
says,
like
yeah.
her character. And I was curious if that's
Exactly.
like her way of interacting with him, or if it was this episode.
It felt of this episode. Which
I'm
I
really
don't
glad you brought that up,
understand.
because that was really
Yeah.
bothering me when we watched it for that Extra Sugar a few episodes ago.
Man, I wish I could like make like a leap and just be like, "Hey, you want to get into the watch party notes?" But I can't because we have other things to do. So sorry about that. Not a good transition.
What other things do we have to do, Salina?
Well, that's a good transition. That's why we need
That's why
you.
you pay me the big bucks.
That's why I pay you. So we were going to talk a little bit about who Carrie is before we jump into the specifics of our episode batch here. But, of course, she is played by Sarah Jessica Parker. And in terms of the archetype that she fills for the show, she's our dreamer, our romantic, the quote, relatable mess. I'm going to get the quotes back out. She's driven by intuition over logic. She's a creator, a creative, both in her writing, but also her style, which is a nice plug for this week's Extra Sugar. For audiences at large, it's about fashion, the extra sugar. But for audiences at large, retrospectively especially, she is frequently now seen as a bit of a narcissist. I'd like to at some point get your read on that. As a new watcher, and I know at least a couple of episodes back, you felt like Carrie was the one that you were vibing with the most. And I'll be curious to see if that's changed.
Don't
or
hold
if
my
you're
previous words against me. How rude of you.
No, no. I mean, she was my favorite on the first watch of the show. So if you've caught our other character deep dives, then you know that we have been doing a lot of like cross comparison with the archetypes between Designing Women and Golden Girls. I'll tell you, I don't really have a one-to-one for Carrie. It's interesting to me because, Sex in the City, it's like kind of like an ensemble, but she kind of is the anchor. And it's a little bit of a mixed bag there. But I'm wondering, maybe we can't pinpoint her because she has more of this like omniscient presence on the show. I'm not really sure. For what it's worth, though, we had the same struggle trying to do a one-on-one for Mary Jo and for Sophia. And the only thing I got is all three of these women are tiny. And maybe while you can physically put them in a box, archetypally you cannot.
That must be it. That must
Is
be
that
it.
argument okay? Does that hold?
Seems as good as any argument. You know what I mean? Seems fine. Go with it.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the good, the bad, and the ugly of Carrie?
Sure. So, in terms of good, one of the things that I keep coming back to with her is that she's really open minded. And I feel like she's really inclusive of different perspectives. And this was really obvious to me in that 20 something young women versus women who are in their 30s or whatever. What did you say?
You still like the titles?
I almost said old women, and then I was like, wait a second, I'm 40, so I don't like that. But she had a couple quotes there that I felt like were just really understanding when it would have been easy to take the road of judgment and of like criticism. She said, I began to realize the biggest threat 20-something girls posed was a threat to themselves. And she also said they were simply our youthful doppelgangers who needed our compassion. So I feel like it just hit me that she didn't turn super ugly, especially after we met Natasha, who falls into this category of young women. There wasn't any of that like girl on girl crime. Like she didn't immediately turn and say like how dumb this young girl was and how could Big like choose her. I don't know if she says that in other episodes, but in this one, all she said is 20-something girls are just fabulous until you see one with the man who broke your heart. That could have gone so many other ways, and it didn't, because I feel like her character is really inclusive and tries to be understanding of other people. So yeah, I think, and then with that said, I feel like you get to grow in real time with her because she's always in learning mode. She's always asking questions, always, finding out more about these situations. And so you're getting to watch her become more of a fully fledged person because she's learning. And I think those are really admirable traits.
Okay. All right. That's good. I like it. Plus, it sounds like we're going to have all different things. So that's nice.
Perfect.
So, despite this retconning of Carrie as the worst character on Sex and the City, which I hadn't said before today, because
I'm glad you hadn't.
I just want you to get a little bit more of the show under your belt, but we're not, we're just getting too far along in the season to leave this off the table forever.
Yeah.
Now feels appropriate. It's giving me like Rory on Gilmore Girls a little bit. Like time has passed and now everybody's like, do we like her?
Rory's
I still
the
do.
Worst.
Well, I still like Carrie is what I mean. There's some tough.
Yeah.
And
well, again, because you're watching this person grow in real time. And so there's going to be pieces of it that you really hate.
Well, and also through some of the most selfish times of someone's life, right?
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to Carrie, I find her to be on the whole a very good friend who shows up. This batch of episodes doesn't really showcase that very well,
No, but other episodes have.
That's right. So we've seen Carrie in the delivery room with Miranda, making sure her needs were met. We've seen her
on her last night with Big. She had one last night with Big, and she spent it in the delivery room.
That's right. And, she even literally holds Miranda down the aisle at her mom's funeral. She's the glue between these four women, gentler than Samantha and Miranda when it comes to being a truth teller. Because I do think she does, but she at least like couches it in like, sweetie, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then, she's also often playing peacekeeper when things get contentious among the
Mm-hmm.
women. You see her to go, and she's like she knows they're like going too far because she knows everyone so well.
Mm-hmm.
I really like also that she allows herself to be vulnerable, to show when she's upset. I find that it's an incredible gift to show up in this world and be authentic. It shouldn't be a gift, and it should be more of a given, but I mean, frankly, it's not. But I like the fact that when she has been lonely on the show, she has said it. When she is over something or someone, she has said it. When she messes up, she has said it. um and I don't think that that's something that is necessarily always a given.
Mm.
How about the bad?
So you might have just touched on this. I didn't. I think she can be very self-absorbed. And the example that in this batch of episodes that I keep coming back to is her like existential spiral around am I enough in the shoes episode, A Woman's Right to Shoes or whatever. It becomes the whole focus is whether or not Carrie is good enough versus like this bigger issue of like and you put this so well when we did that extra sugar where we talked about it, like understanding everyone's place in the world and respecting everyone's place in the world. It became so much about her, and it just missed an opportunity to talk about how this was something that affects more people than just Carrie. It was all about her shoes, her being shoe shamed. And I understand that she is the point of the show and that she's sort of the linchpin of the show, but it just kept ringing to me of like, oh my God, forget the shoes. Let's talk about this, the fact that like we're just not respecting one another. Because even then when she was talking with Charlotte, it turned into how she buys all these presents for people and no one's ever going to buy her presents, instead of like talking about this bigger issue of just respecting one another and appreciating one another. I found that a couple of times as we've been watching about her.
She has only child energy. So,
You said it. I can't say it. I don't know. But
yeah.
I
mean, well, and have been told I'm a little bit of a better only child than some, but it can get pretty about yourself, because it always was.
Yeah.
You didn't have to share in the same way. You didn't have to, like, it's just a different experience. You literally, you're not growing up with like other people right next to you all the time. It is very much so like your own frontier. So
Watching
I
your
think
hand gestures, do you think siblings just sit on each other's shoulders, just hang there? Do you think that's what it's about?
I had a lot of friends that I was at their house, and it seemed like they like to bug the crap out of each other.
Hangers on.
A little bit. This is actually part of my like the ugly of Carrie,
Okay.
which is, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about it because I think it pairs nicely with yours. It's like that selfishness that can come out is usually when she's incapable of seeing beyond her own stuff, which I think is what you're saying. For me, the worst was in The Real Me. I found her quite frustrating in that episode. She's working through some things chronologically. We are post affair, post Aiden. So her falling on that runway and getting back up is very much so a metaphor for what she's doing in real life. And that's great. And also, we must experience vain Carrie. And at some point, I wasn't sure if her or Samantha would fall in the reflecting pool first. I didn't know. But it was the way that she treated Stanford backstage that just really lost me. That was like a total non-starter. He had just had the most embarrassing encounter with Anthony, and it was really awful. And he got left even though he didn't like him. And he's like trying to say one word about it, and she's just like not even
I'm in the middle of my own crisis.
Right. And it wasn't really the time, but also you're just walking down a stage. You'll be okay.
It's going to be fine.
Exactly. Were there any other like bad things that really strike you with Carrie?
No other bad things. I have an ugly falls apart thing that I wanted to share.
Okay. No bad things, just crappy
just
things.
Like really where her character completely falls apart. So this is my first time with the affair with Big, this episode that we watched. And I think it made me realize that Carrie gets a little confused about the concept of guilt and like feeling like if she's guilty, then she's like in the right in some sort of way. Like she's made her amends just by feeling guilty, not realizing like, no, you actually have to do a thing that changes the course of this situation.
That's so funny. Okay.
You're not actually in the right just because you feel really bad about it. So that really bothered me because I realized like, I don't think she really understands that what she's doing is super wrong and that someone's going to get hurt. The other thing was she had this like wide-eyed perspective of like, I just don't want anybody to get hurt. Well, you're in an affair relationship. And I think maybe Miranda said it at one point, like,
yeah,
somebody's going to get hurt here.
Do you think it's because she was with Big first? She never came out and said it, but there was a time, I think is when she's maybe talking with Charlotte, and it felt like that's where we were headed. Like because she was like something about how they're married, and like there was something about the language there that felt very like, yes, and she came after me.
That might be part and parcel to my second falls apart, because you might be onto something there. Her entire relationship with Big is so toxic, and I don't think she ever really fully appreciates that, because she thinks it's some great love that's supposed to happen and they're just facing all these trials. And no, the reality is this is a fully grown man who's incapable of committing to you, and you're a fully grown woman who deserves way better. And the fact that she just continues to let him make her feel bad over and over again must have been a very hard watch in real time, especially as a young woman.
Yeah, I mean, so I think you would think so, but you're young and stupid. So I don't know.
Fair.
Like I felt a lot of it's not like I ever watched those episodes and I was like, good job, everyone's making good decisions.
Yeah.
But like there was this whole like I did root for Carrie and Big. And it's almost impossible for me to untangle those feelings now. But now I watch it and I'm like, good Lord, the 19-year-old brain is just not fully formed.
Yeah.
But toxic is great. And I like not being toxic, but that's a great word because it's exactly what I used. I feel like this batch of episodes really has us in Carrie's shadow territory. And what I would say, just backing up from the toxicity, is it's like, these times when her insecurity leaves her open to, let's call them issues, you know? So in Three's a Crowd, she tracks down Big's first wife and goes through all this hullabaloo because she didn't feel like she could tell him that she was hurt, that he failed to mention that he'd been married, or maybe why he wasn't anymore. Because I feel like that's something that a person wants to know, because that reason may go ahead and tell you, you know what? I think I'm just going to move along. So that's thing one. Then by 20-something girls versus 30-something women, that insecurity understandably returns when we meet Natasha and learn that Big is going to marry her after he told Carrie he would never get married again. And she just happens to be a 26-year-old. I do agree that she handled it, I mean, as well as you could. I mean, she threw up.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's not like she was mean in that episode. She does come back to be mean.
Sure.
In some ways, and some of the things that she says. But then in season 3, episode 11, Running with Scissors, I would argue it's insecurity again that leads to her affair with Big. You know, among other things, but it is the insecurity that's in the sauce. Through that affair, her insecurity gets the best of her when it comes to him, and it leads to a lot of toxic decisions. And this is just like one of those toxic decisions. And then, you know, their affair was obviously a tough look for Carrie, and that was the point. So I don't know if you read about this or not, but that was a deliberate choice by showrunners, because they wanted to take what they'd built, they wanted to break it, make the characters move through it, and show that Carrie was capable of making very messy mistakes. On that happy note, want to talk about any shining moments across the series?
There are none. She's the worst. You said it. Yes, let's talk about them.
Well, so I have to tell you, so I mainly really just have what is an incredible run for her for awards. Basically, she did win the Emmy for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series in 2004, but she was nominated every year that the show was on.
Wow.
because she's a producer, I think when the show wins Outstanding Comedy Series in '01, that kind of makes that partially her award. And then it shows up with as a credit to her. And then also the show was nominated again in '03. She won the Golden Globe for Best Performance by an Actress in a Television Series, Comedy or Musical in 2000, 2001, 2002, and 2004.
Wow.
And she was nominated in '99, 2003, and 2005.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So she did okay. And then, I know we've been sharing quotes from the actors about the character that they played. And actually, I was hoping that we could cue up and hear from Sarah Jessica Parker herself.
She crossed streets, avenues, Rubicons, so it seemed. She broke hearts, heels, habits. She loved, lost, won, tripped, leaped, fell short and into puddles. She aged, got wiser. She has made the hardest, worst, and best decisions. Traveled near and far for the new, the vintage, friends, and love. Changed homes, time zones, boyfriends, her mind, her shoes, her hair, but never her love and devotion to New York City. She had dates, drinks, boyfriends, a husband, and truly great loves and romances. She hailed cabs, she ran in heels, and danced with Stanford. She told the truth, and she lied. She typed, wondered, wrote, published, grieved, forgave, got stood up, stood strong, stood out. She devoted herself to hats, books, shoes, friends, and the promise of a new day in her beloved city and the people she treasured most. She has worn shame, pride, honor, optimism, and literally countless dresses, skirts, and tutus, held on to hands, hopes, and the very best of people. Miranda, Samantha, and Charlotte, there will never be better friends. And what great fortune for Carrie to come to know and love Seema and LTW, most divine new connections. Carrie Bradshaw has dominated my professional heartbeat for 27 years. I think I have loved her most of all. I know others have loved her just as I have, been frustrated, condemned, and rooted for her. The symphony of all those emotions has been the greatest soundtrack and most consequential companion. Therefore, the most sentimental and profound gratitude and lifetime of debt to you all. MPK and I together recognized, as we have in the past, this chapter complete. And just like that was all joy, adventure, the greatest kind of hard work, alongside the most extraordinary talent of 380 people, including all the brilliant actors who joined us. I am better for every single day I spent in your fine company. It will be forever before I forget the whole thing. Thank you all. I love you so. I hope you love these final 2 episodes as much as we loved making them for you. Rabbit, Rabbit, XXX, SJ.
I'm 61, and today I'm...
Do you want to go into our watch party notes now?
Let's do it.
Do you want to talk about a couple of the moments that stuck with you, either where Carrie or Sarah Jessica Parker surprised you or did a really good job acting-wise?
Yes, I do. So, but can I just back up for a minute? And I think this also is a little bit complementary to things that you've already been talking about. But technically speaking, I think ChatGPT did a really good job with this slew of episodes.
Okay.
Sure, she may have not looked her kindest through all of them, but it actually was a true arc with her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in Running with Scissors, we're dealing with the fallout of insecure Carrie. You know, what happens when Natasha falling on the stairs. It's almost like on some level that broke her in big. It
Mm.
broke her out of her haze. She was finally really done, you know. And then by the real me, she is literally picking herself up off the ground. And in A Woman's Right to Shoes, she shows that she's finally ready to stand up for herself, like in a more substantial way.
Mm.
So I just wanted to say that first. And then I will say that for me, a moment that always sticks with me is her on that beach in 20 something girls versus 30 something women. We've already talked about it, but basically, like she, you know, she says, and then I realized 20 something girls are just fabulous until you see one with the man who broke your heart. Then she's throwing up, and that I'm not throwing up at that. I mean, I'm not laughing at that. I think the beautiful part is Miranda's right there holding her hair back,
Yeah.
you know, and it's not a party moment. It's like, I think that's the difference between 20s and 30s, right? You're moving into this serious time of life, and it's just a whole different mental equation by that point.
Mm.
So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a really nice scene.
Then we have Running with Scissors. Everything that happens at Biggs after Natasha comes home early. This is another thing that just sort of lives rent free in my head. I'll never forget the first time I watched that episode and saw her fall on those stairs. I mean, and lift her head up and her mouth was bloody. It's just hard for that to not stay with you.
Mm-hmm.
And just that whole, like, for better or worse, no one is comfortable in this situation. This is not a happy time for anyone. And I think the acting is good. You know, I think it was like you really feel like you're in it. And then that exchange with Big when he shows up and he says, I'll call you, which is like crazy at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, for what? We're so over. We need a new word for over. And that is a phrase that I have used in my life because of this show. Because it's just, it's so funny. I think this is when you know that the acting is good because you go back, you write down a line, you're like, the line is fine. But it's the delivery that just lives with you, you know? And then I'll just tear off this last one and I'll throw it over to you. Oh, in A Woman's Right to Shoes. And, you know, I do definitely see what you're saying, that maybe there was an opportunity to broaden this up a little bit and not make it so Carrie centric. But I did really like the part where she has the realization about how much she spent on her friends' life choices when she's like out to brunch or whatever with the girls. And, you know, we talked about this in our Dusty Bits episode, but like how, you know, she'll never get anything if she never gets married or has kids. And so she says, you know what? I am Santa. I did a little mental addition. And over the years, I have bought Kyra, whatever, an engagement gift, a wedding gift. Then there was the trip to Maine for the wedding, 3 baby gifts. In toto, I have spent over $2,300 celebrating her choices. And she is shaming me for spending a lousy $485 on myself. Yes, I did the math. But those were gifts. I mean, if you got married or had a child, she'd spend the same on you. And if I don't ever get married or have a baby, what? I get bupkis? Think about it. If you are single after graduation, there isn't one occasion where people celebrate you. We have birthdays. No, we all have birthdays. That's a wash. I am talking about the single gal. Hallmark doesn't make a congratulations you didn't marry the wrong guy card. And where's the flatware for going on vacation alone? Then Charlotte pipes in and tells her she doesn't need anything for her pending wedding to Harry. And that's when Carrie responds, I'm thrilled to give you gifts to celebrate your life. I just think it stinks that single people are left out of it. And I just want to say that that was really revolutionary for them. I don't think anyone was ever saying anything like that. I think perhaps even more whatever than that. You have to remember this is before gay marriage was allowed legally. And so it's also like, what are we saying there? If people weren't able to do what everyone else was doing. So those are just some of the things that really stuck with me from this batch.
Charlotte is a much less sensitive person than I am, because in all of that, Carrie says they don't make a card that says congratulations on not marrying the wrong guy, which is so effed up because Charlotte has at this point been divorced. And I would have called that out. Gee, thanks, friend. How kind.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of those situations where it's just all the Carrie's in her own world.
I think it's that, but it was probably also a good time because, like, Charlotte's all high on her new wedding.
Yeah.
You know?
It was a choice to put her with Charlotte to have that conversation, because Charlotte's now at this point hit her up for 2 weddings. And I'm assuming, like, bridesmaid dresses for 2 weddings. That's a different conversation.
And I don't even want to think about how much those bridesmaids' dresses are.
100%. 100%. You've hit on all of the episodes that I was going to mention. I'll just add in 20-something girls versus 30-something women, I really loved the line, "What's the allure of the 20s? On one hand, there's great skin tone, the thrill of fresh experience, and a sense of consequence-free life full of seemingly endless possibilities. On the other hand, there are horrible apartments, sexually inexperienced men, and embarrassing errors in fashion judgment." I liked that, like, duality of, I feel like it's every chapter of life you could look at and be like, well, what's so great about your 30s? Of course, you have a steady income, you have this, that, and the other, but you have this other thing. I just liked how she captured that, especially in a way that would allow 30-something women to look back at their 20s and be like, okay, maybe I don't need to be 20 again. Like, maybe there are some parts I could leave behind.
Yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to mention was, again, running with scissors. One, I'll say, you mentioned that falling on the stairs scene. That also was a very nice editorial choice, when Carrie spent half the episode talking about how she didn't want anybody to get hurt, to have Natasha get physically hurt. And she's a gorgeous woman. She just lost a tooth. Like, that is a really on the nose sort of physical hurt. So I thought that was a really nice editorial choice. But I also really loved the performance. I'm going to choose my words carefully, because I was going to say I loved how Carrie agonized in this episode. I loved the performance of Carrie agonizing through this episode, going back and forth on whether it was, she was having this affair with Big for the right reasons, or, if he was meant to be hers and this is how it was all supposed to play out, versus feeling like she was doing something wrong. You just get this opportunity to watch it all play out in real time and with her friends. And it was really heartbreaking, especially at the end. So I thought that was a really well-performed episode.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, because I think this is pretty common. I don't know if it's that common, but it's not the first time I've heard it, which is like, they had said something in, I don't know if we've talked about it here or not, but in the writer's room, like, if it didn't happen in real life, it didn't go on the screen.
Oh.
And so, I don't know, it's like literally everything, but like the big crux stuff. And so it makes me wonder, like, oh my God, did somebody have that happen? That was like in the writer's room?
Or I assumed, did it happen to Candace Bushnell? But yeah, that's a good point. So is there a real Natasha out there somewhere?
Yeah. I don't know.
Come on, Natasha.
Surely there is.
We feel bad for you. World. We've been mean to other people, but we feel bad for you. Come join us. Did you have any more top performances you wanted to talk about?
No, I don't have anything else.
What about favorite outrageous Carrie quotes?
Yeah, I've got, in Three's a Crowd, her reaction to Big's ex-wife when she first meets her. She says, "It was the last straw. She was smart, beautiful, and she got me. I'd have to kill her." And then later, her realization about threesomes, she says, "And I realized the real appeal of the threesome. It was easy. It's intimacy that's the bitch." I like those quotes. And then I also liked in The Real Me, there's that exchange on the diner's organic offerings. It just made me laugh. Where Samantha's like, "Are the vegetables on the veggie plate organic? They have beef pot pie on the menu. What do you think?" And then she orders like hot water. And what a real choice, because that was like an 01 or something.
Yeah.
Like, wow. And then my last quote is on Charlotte's sad lady bits. See if I can get my mouse to work here if it wants to play along with me. And something in that. I don't remember who all said what, but I know that Carrie had some good ones in here. But wait, how do you know your vagina's depressed? There are symptoms. It can't meet its deadline. It always wants to go to Krispy Kreme. It's so funny. My vagina's depressed. Stop. I might have vulvodynia. Vulva, what are you? So every day I have to keep a vagina journal. Come on, a Dear Vagina, Why So Blue kind of journal. Dear Vagina, guess who I've had a crush on? And then now I just realized I just said vagina a lot to you, and I'm real sorry about that. Yeah, that was my last line that I really liked.
I pulled out just one from this batch of episodes, and it was, they say you shouldn't judge until you've walked a mile in someone else's shoes. I made it 6 blocks. This is in A Woman's Right to Shoes when she has to wear Kira's shoes, like her sneakers, home. That felt like a very Carrie thing to say. And then I did go outside of this batch of episodes because she's had some good quotes through the series that we haven't really talked about because they weren't in the Carrie episode. But in Coulda, Woulda, Shoulda is the one where she said, I've spent $40,000 on shoes and I have no place to live. I will literally be the old woman who lived in her shoes. Again, that just felt like a very Carrie quote.
Yeah.
Speaking of very Carrie, where throughout this batch of episodes or elsewhere, since I've already broken the rules, do you find Carrie at her most extra?
Break the rules. I think the most frustrating thing for me in this new way that we're doing things is I swear all the best stuff always happens outside of their batch of episodes.
It turns out I made a list like this long in my Apple Notes of things to come back to in the Carrie episode because they were just things that we were going to have to talk about, but I didn't want to bring them up when we were giving someone else their moment. So I have things that we'll talk about, but it's a challenge. So I find ways around it.
Good for you.
I won't be held
that.
back.
I really like that. So for me, let's see, most extra, just really in Three's a Crowd, her tracking down Big's wife.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty peak. This was technically Miranda's idea, I think, but then she fake pitches that kid story for adults about a little girl named Kathy who has magic cigarettes, and when she lights them up, she can go anywhere in the world.
And that lady liked it. That lady thought she was onto something.
I was like, it's stupid for kids and adults.
So again, had that happened before amongst the writers? Did someone pitch a story like this? They were hoping this would be the moment it caught on.
I think probably the thing that actually happened is somebody tracking down someone's ex.
Maybe.
But
fine. The less interesting part of the story.
But maybe also little Kathy.
Yeah.
Running with scissors. You know, you mentioned earlier, and I think that was a really insightful perspective on Carrie. Basically, like, she like kind of gets it, what's wrong, but not really.
Yeah.
And she thinks it's just like noticing it. But the way that she's lashing out at both Big and Aiden in that episode, and in both times, like, her guilt is also like heat. She's like hot.
Yeah.
And she's like, get off me. Yeah.
It happens to me too. It happened to you when we started recording. The microphone's not working. I'm so hot.
Just because I was tearing my clothes off? Is there something wrong with that, Nikki? But anyway, so like that, something about that and how dramatic she is in those moments is just peak Carrie. And then finally, like registering for Manolo Blahniks to celebrate marrying herself. I mean, that's peak. It's also like elite, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it's peak. So
it's true. In that same vein, crashing out over her shoes in that episode feels pretty peak Carrie. Like just not being able to move on from this. I feel like she was in the right. To be super clear, I feel like her friend was being an a-hole. But I feel like the episode long breakdown over the shoes feels very Carrie.
Well, I think there is something that they played it this sort of, it's like when we watched the baby shower episode and we talked about like it wasn't a very generous read of mothers. Okay. It's like they took these nuggets and then made them so outsized, you know, And I feel like that's what they did with her friend in this
They're like
episode too.
beating you over the head so that you see, like, this is how large the chasm is between people with kids and people without kids. Don't forget, Carrie's single and doesn't have kids.
And I think it's like, this idea is true though, I think, which is that it's true. When you don't have children, you have more time. Any of my friends without children will tell you so. It's for some of us, it's why we don't have children. But here's the thing, like the way that her friend handled it was quite rude. And I've never had any of my friends with children say it to me in such a rude way. Like Carrie has that conversation where she's like, I've been thinking about this a lot. And she's like, oh, I forgot about that. I don't have time for that, Carrie. I have a lot of other things. Yeah, nobody's going to say that. I mean, now, surely there's one person in the world that has, but for the most part, so it's like the baseline is true. I don't think that a parent has time to sit there and think about like, oh, I'm having an existential crisis. No, you get to worry about that when your kids are 18 and they're out of the house, or 25 now, because I think we bumped that age up. But like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just not, you just don't have time. And so, I don't know. That was really something that was sitting.
If my friend lost her $400 shoes at my house because I made her take her shoes off, I would find the time to fret over it, because I would feel so bad, which I think also says something about the character.
I think also, Nikki, not everybody is you.
It's true.
Okay.
It's true.
Like, yeah, I mean, and you are incredibly thoughtful.
Oh,
so like,
nice.
I do agree. Like, I think if I lost a $5 pair of socks, you couldn't handle it.
It would drive me
and
crazy.
I would have a $5 pair of socks like the next day.
It would drive me crazy. I would feel really bad about that.
Yeah.
I also felt like Carrie falling over on the runway in The Real Me was very peak Carrie.
Oh yeah, good point.
This ties back to the opening of the entire show where she gets splashed by water, or whatever the situation is. She gets splashed by something. The very beginning when we started watching this, I said, I've always wondered, like, what is the significance there? And now that I know the Carrie character more, I just understand that's, what did you say earlier this episode? The messy Carrie, or whatever you said. But the messiness of her, that's what that falling on the runway felt like to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like, it's also like she's on the bus.
Yeah.
And she's getting splashed by the bus.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
It's all going sideways for her. And then the other thing I wanted to mention in Pete Carrie, I continue to be surprised over and over again how traditional Carrie actually is. So in Three's a Crowd, again, this was season 1, but in Three's a Crowd, she said, I seem to be the only one in New York who still believed in one-on-one relationships. She's like so open-minded about relationships and situationships and whatever Samantha's going through, and always encouraging her friends to go out and meet new people and this, that, and the other. But she really truly believes in love. And I think we see her go on that journey, but I think if anything, I know she marries big. That tells me she still believes in love. She also agonizes, like we talked about, over this affair with Big, which just again tells me that there is some element of like conservative and traditional in her that feels like she knows that she's doing something that doesn't feel right to her, and she doesn't feel great about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, those are my peak Carrie moments. Do you want to talk about some things that didn't age well, or I don't know, we call this the whoops that didn't age well, but I keep interpreting this category as all the old stuff.
Right. Me too. So I think that's essentially what I've done. I mean, although, well, this first one, it's kind of like hand in hand of those two concepts. But in 20-something Girls, Samantha's assistant, who's like incredibly annoying.
So
like,
annoying.
He is so bad. She's on the phone and calls someone the F word, like hag with an F. And I was like, really? What's happening? Charlotte getting crabs. That doesn't happen a lot these days. I'm just saying. Although I did hear it was making a comeback there for like a couple seconds, but
gross.
Not too much.
That seems scary. It seems scary. It's right up there. It's like lice. Lice freak me out.
Yeah.
They make me I'm start itching right now. Or like a tick.
Yeah.
A tick?
Yeah.
Oh God. I'm itching.
It's a lot.
Let's start
You
itching.
don't really want anything crawling, you know?
The chicken
Carrie's...
pox also set me off in that episode when Miranda's...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that freaked me out too. So when I say gross, it's not judgmental gross. It's I don't like stuff on my skin gross.
Yeah. Backpedal there. Kidding. Carrie's protege Laurel saying, "What are you saying? I'm some kind of Lewinsky?" That's a very late 90s, early 2000s reference that you wouldn't get now, but also it also feels particularly icky in this time where we have acknowledged the fact that maybe we screwed Monica Lewinsky over.
Yeah.
Maybe as a country.
Poor Keaton.
Carrie putting her phone number in a book versus in the guy's phone who wants to take her out, that doctor.
Yeah.
That felt like something that wouldn't happen now, but
Here, let me just jot it down for you.
Yeah, it's very sweet. Season 3.
Oh, wait, hold on. In
11.
that same episode, I have one to add.
Yeah,
You caught all of mine
yeah.
except Praise You by Fatboy Slim was the song that was playing at the bonfire. That being a song that the youths are playing at their bonfire is a very 90s thing.
Yeah, and also, like, I think needle drops really stand out in this show. Because there's not a ton of them.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine it was, like, extra hard in the early days. They didn't have a ton of money. They weren't quite the Sex in the City now. Season 3, episode 11, Running with Scissors. Carrie mentions Miranda's Palm Pilot. There's that low-key HIV subplot with Samantha has, like, and now you know, but, like, sexual.
Yeah.
A sexual now you know. Looking at wedding dresses in magazines. And then Samantha faxes some names to Charlotte. That's all a little dusty.
Dusty bits, if you will.
Yes. I just have one more, which is in A Woman's Right to Shoes. Manolos that cost less than $500, which is also another good cue up for extra sugar.
Okay. In The Real Me, Miranda had a Walkman on her hand while she was running on the treadmill.
She sure did.
And in Running with Scissors, we also got a Lifetime Television for Women reference, which brought me great joy.
Yes.
Okay.
It brings great joy.
Is that all you had for Dusty Bits? Do you have
Maybe
any?
that's what we should call this.
Just call it Dusty Bits.
Yeah.
Now that we're done.
Right.
Were there any special moments of friendship that you wanted to highlight?
Yeah, I had a few. I mean, I actually think I wound up calling one out earlier, which is Miranda holding Carrie's hair back on the beach.
Yep.
So sorry if I snagged that one. I'm actually going to say one and then leave space because I want you to be able to get one in. I have a few.
Okay.
I just don't want to accidentally run through all of yours since
I
we
only
don't
have
peek
the
at
one.
each other's notes. You go first then.
Oh, well, mine's not that groundbreaking. There was this back and forth in The Real Me between Carrie and Miranda. Where Miranda is upset because this man approached her in the gym and told her she was really hot. And she's like, I really just usually need a chance to let my personality win men over. And Carrie says, you win men over with your personality? And Miranda says, they want you to be a model? And that just feels like the most bestie conversation you can have. You can only say that to your bestie, that perfectly barbed, like, back and forth. And I thought that was just this consistent reminder that we get these beautifully sweet moments of them supporting each other through their life, but they're also just girlfriends and they just mess with each other.
Yeah, I mean, girls rag on each other too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a real thing.
So now yours, make me cry.
Well, I don't know about that, but I'll start with The Real Me and I do have a Miranda moment too. But the first one that really struck me was Samantha when she goes backstage to see Carrie. And there's some really key pieces to this. Everyone has or should have the friend who is going to tell you the truth, and not just the truth about what you're doing, but the truth about what you're wearing. It is that is a sacred, special friendship because not every friend can get away with telling you that doesn't look your best, you know, which is also not the way I would put it, but you know what I mean? Anyways, you need that friendship. Yep. And then there's just that girl's girl moment when Samantha sees her.
Oh, yeah.
And she's so excited by how Carrie looks. She's beaming because her friend is so beautiful.
She
you know,
truly was.
that is a thing that friends do. We should, like, we want the best for you, you know.
Yeah.
We want you to succeed. We want you to look awesome. We want you to feel awesome. We want all your dreams to come true. That's girlfriends, baby.
Yeah.
Um
And then she goes
the
out
other
into the
one-
crowd and tells the other friends, like, wait till you see our girl. She looks
Exactly.
incredible.
Yes. And then Miranda has just not been here for this. This is not her thing. She has been eye rolling her way through this entire episode. But when Miss Fashion Roadkill gets up, she is leading the cheer out in the audience. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's the first one up. She's roaring the loudest. All the girlfriends stand up. That one was one for me as well. And then my other one is from Running with Scissors. At the very beginning, Carrie goes and meets Miranda to break the news that she's having an affair. And Miranda is tops because she has warned Carrie countless times about Big. She's made her feelings very clear, but she knows this is not the time for judgment because I understand, like, Carrie is maybe doesn't entirely understand the full shades of morality yet, but
That's an interesting way to put it.
but the thing is, she, like, you don't, in that situation or a situation like that, I think particularly women know that women need to be beat up on more, like they need like an additional face hole, because that's what we do. We beat up on ourselves. So she did not do that. Like, she even sits there and smokes a cigarette with her because, and you can tell she's never smoked a day in her life. And she does that because she just wants her to show, she wants to show she's there for her. And she still tells her the truth.
Yeah.
Of course, he only wants you because he can't have you now. But she's still showing up for her. So those were mine.
Yeah. That was really special. That one reminded me of when Carrie showed up to tell Samantha that she was engaged. And Samantha was like, if you must, I'll support it.
Yes.
So we are still on our side quest of figuring out which Sex and the City character we're most like.
Yes.
Are you ready to go to that?
I think so. Yes.
Okay.
I am.
You seem very concerned. I don't believe you.
I lost my way in life. Excuse me. Yes, I'm ready. Do you want to kick us off or do you want me to?
I can.
Okay.
It's easy. I'm no Carrie. Like, I'm not half as witty. I don't have the charisma. I'm not as charming as she is. Also, like, the real me, the part of that episode that bothered me the most is how she kept going, I'm no model. I'm no model. And Sarah Jessica Parker is like rock
Has
hard
like the most
abs,
perfect legs,
gorgeous
that
hair,
ever-
amazing body. Yeah, like, she's Gorgina.
Yeah.
So I don't identify with Carrie at all. I think I'm realizing as we go on that I'm some mixture of Miranda and, regrettably, Charlotte. I think those are my two.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to jump in and say that I disagree with everything that you said because you're incredibly witty, you're incredibly charming, you're incredibly so many things.
Not the
Like-
same way Carrie is. You're only saying
And
that
y'all
'cause you're my
don't know
friend.
it, but Nikki's legs are like 5 feet long. Well, you're 5'10", Nikki.
That sent me into a coughing fit. That sent me into a
Poor
coughing
Nikki
fit.
has been coughing this entire episode. God bless her. She shows up, y'all. She shows
I'm
up.
here. I'm here, man. I'm here. Look how
She's
happy I
here.
am too.
Okay, so
So which character
Um,
are you?
well, I mean, that's not exactly how. Okay, I don't know. I guess I was supposed to come. I think we'll get another opportunity to completely say
To
who we
completely
think we
finish it
are.
out? Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, and this is what I know going through. This is what I feel. Okay, go with me on this journey.
I'm here.
This is a full discretion moment. I, like many women, and especially young women back in the day, wanted to be Carrie. So I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to live in New York City. I wanted to live between Soho and NoHo. That's not where she lived, but it's where I wanted to live. I wanted to wear all the best clothes and just live a more urban lifestyle. That was all very appealing and very romantic to me. But for the purposes of this exercise, it's possible that her shadow side triggers me because it aligns with my shadow, which is like especially bad decisions driven by my own insecurities and low self-esteem. So I don't know if that's like a yay moment or not, but that's what it is. My worst decisions were made young and they were doozies. But there, there are also those times, not to toot my own horn, but when you're too in your own head or too caught up in yourself to see others are going through something. I mean, certainly that's been me over the course of my lifetime. But, this is not the only Carrie that we know. Carrie is also an observer in the world, and I consider myself an observer as well. I am also a writer, and I think that those two things just kind of go hand in hand. I'm not sure you can write if you're not observing.
Well, you run out of things to write about.
Pretty quickly. Nikki will tell you I'm not verbose. I also love to wear clothes as a way to express myself.
You were going to end there. I also love to wear clothes.
Not really. I was about to rip all mine off, but I don't always have time for it, but I love to curate an outfit. So style connected to self is true for me. Not that I'm anyway comparing myself to the way that they dress, but it's that she dresses, but it is a thing for me. The way she operates in relationships in the world at large, however, not much there the same. She has that see and be seen energy a little bit, and I'd rather get hit by a bus. Like, I don't want to be seen. Like, if it happens, then so be it. But, there's a reason that we're on a podcast. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason that we have cartoon characters in place of our faces in places. I'm just saying. So like yes. And
some of the see and be seen for her comes from the New York of it all. That's just the New York way, is to kind of,
I think that's fair,
network and be out there. And that's part of her job, is to, people need to know who she is.
That's
so
right.
I feel like if you had found yourself in that sort of situation, you might have gone that route too.
Could be, anything's possible. Yes. And I think maybe being from Henry County just shaped me in a different kind of way. But yeah, so in some ways I do see similarities between us, but in other ways, not so much. But I think that's where I'm sort of landing with everyone, you know, not maybe the most Miranda, then shades of Carrie.
Yeah.
Like a few things like Charlotte, but not that much. And then, Samantha, I have so much respect for how she moves in the world, but I'm not that, and I mean this in a good way, I'm not that outrageous.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that.
I did have one thing that I wanted to bring up, just real quickly, which is, well, actually, let me ask you, do you have any burning questions from this one? I know sometimes we have.
I have a couple of things, but this also morphed into some things, the observations I mentioned that I sort of tucked into my back pocket for as we've been going through the series that I wanted to bring back up for the Carrie episode. So I have a handful of them, but if you want to go into what you have first, then we can see what makes sense.
I mean, basically, I just wanted to, we've already addressed it, and I'd love to get your thoughts. I think 20-something girls versus 30-something women, I think at the stage of life we're in, really have me thinking a little bit about this idea of how the culture at large really loves to pit older and younger women against each other. Does that resonate for you at all? Do you see that in the world?
So I have two thoughts on that. One, I actually had in my sort of like, whoops, that didn't age well category, this concept of putting 30-year-olds versus 20-year-olds as a plot line, as a little bit of a dated thing, because I think societally we want to believe the conversation has moved beyond that. So I don't know that we would see something like that in a show like this necessarily. However, the second piece of that is I am constantly bombarded on social media with these videos that are, this is Jessica Alba in her 40s, and this is Meryl Streep in her 40s. And what you're supposed to take away from it is when Meryl Streep was in her 40s, women looked so old, and now Jessica Alba's in her 40s, and you would think she was in her 20s, like this obsession with youth. And so it's more of a like comparing women at different age, at the same age in different eras, and how much better they have it today.
Or Gen Z versus millennials. Or
Generationally,
baby boomers
for sure.
versus millennials.
For sure.
Or Gen X versus everyone or whatever. Like, and it's not just women, but because I think that is a little bit more broad, but maybe it's just my algorithm picks up women a lot. And so I agree that maybe show writers don't want to showcase that, they don't want to feed into that stereotype, but I very much so still feel it. I feel it sometimes even when I'm having a conversation with someone who's a little older than me or a little younger than me, that there's like a natural tension sometimes. Not all the time. And sometimes I might get my, someone even like 8 to 10 years younger being like, well, when I get to your age, and I'm like, all right, calm down there, Skippy. But then on the other side of that, having a conversation about feminism with not everyone who's a baby boomer, but certainly with some people who are baby boomers, it's like we grew up in two different universes. The concept of feminism is very different. That's that's something that is a conversation I've had many times. And it's so different. And I think the one thing that I just think in all of these, and I'm so glad that you mentioned what you did at the top of the episode, which is how nicely Sarah Jessica Parker or Carrie handled that difference to like look at it in this way that was like thoughtful and recognize that there's hardships that no matter what stage of life you're in, and like that being in your 20s is so challenging because you're trying to be in the world. And I don't know, I was just thinking about like, we're talking a lot about women's stories. This feels so important to like turn around and get the people behind you. Really, it should be everyone, but
I think this is that point that you made when we were talking about a woman's right to choose, just sort of honoring people's place in the world and honoring what they bring to the table. I think about this a lot when I think about being a young professional woman. Like I remember being in my 20s and being in a meeting and having someone say, even casually, just in conversation, but like, you're young enough to be my daughter. And that's before the professional conversation has even started. So we've immediately set the stage that I don't have the experience you have. And that person is going to think a certain way about you because of your age. And instead of and I've certainly worked with people who are like, oh, you're in your 20s. What do you think? Who acknowledge that you have a different perspective. But
right.
I think just this over obsession with age, it's built in really early in life. I'm 100% guilty of being around like my kids' friends and be like, I'm sorry, my back hurts. I'm old. I can't do that. Like I say it and then it like resonates in their head. We had a girl at our Girl Scouts meeting this week who was like obsessed with how old I am. She just needed to know, but wait, how old are you? Like it was just an obsession. And that's a more
12.
acute, I know, it's like 22. Why? It's more acute for women because we are just so obsessed with youth and women.
And trained.
Yeah.
So but anyways, that was just I had to mention it because it was just like burned in my brain as I was watching through, and let's just all be kind.
Just be nice. And I think what you said is really nice about, I was going to say reaching around, turning around and offering your hand to the person behind you. You don't necessarily have to give them the old reach around, but you can turn around and
you can.
That's fine if you want
just
to.
Make sure you ask first.
Make sure there's permission.
That's right.
100%. So speaking of that, can I go into my burning questions / observations?
Yes.
Okay, so let's start with my burning questions. The episode with the big affair in it, I have a hair. Do you see this right here? I have a hair poking right up. It's very distracting. How did Carrie write about that in her column without alerting Aiden to it, without anyone putting the pieces together that it was big, or did she just not talk about big in her column?
Yeah, I don't think she was writing about that. Was there an indication that she was writing about that in the column?
She had one of her voiceover moments that was like something about someone getting hurt or something like that.
Okay.
It gave me a sense that she must be talking about something difficult.
Okay.
Maybe she didn't. But
Yeah, I mean, that would have been really stupid.
that's what I would think. But it made me curious. Like, what does the column look like if you're talking about that?
Yeah, that's fair.
The other...
Maybe she used fake names
Maybe.
to have a friend.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's true. So lame. How did Miranda get more beautiful as the series went on? So I got to Running with Scissors and I was like, get out. Like, her hair color was amazing. The haircut was incredible. The makeup just made her eyes look amazing. Her wardrobe got better. Like, by the time we got to that episode, I was like, what has happened? This is like a complete 180 on this character.
Yeah, I've thought about that a lot, and I actually will talk about that a little bit in the fashion extra sugar. But I just like broadly speaking, I think it's fair to say that they really softened her look over the years.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Earlier this season, I said we needed to come back to Carrie's smoking because there was a whole season where she was chewing gum, which I think I found out later was nicotine gum. I don't remember if you told me that or if I read it. Is there anything more, like, is that a plot line that Carrie you told me she tries to stop smoking because of Aiden? Is there anything more to that? He says he can't date a smoker.
I mean, I think it's interesting that you get to see too, like, she did quit and then you see her start smoking again when she's with Big, you know? So I guess, like, if you were, again, going back to that toxicity, it's also someone that she's sitting there and having like post-coital cigarettes with, you know, like, it's just like top to bottom, not healthy decisions for you, like mentally, emotionally, physically. I think maybe all of that just goes away after season 3.
Okay. On the note of Aiden, something that I think I realized when we were watching Just Say Yes, there was a quote where I realized she moved in with him to avoid marriage. So the conversation about them moving in together started because her apartment was going co-op and it's a New York-y thing. It sounds like it was going to get more expensive or something, and she needed someone to help her pay for it. So, surprise, Aiden's the guy. But then she also had this hint that he was going to ask her to marry him. So she said, I decided to head Aiden off at the pass and ask him to move in with me. And I bring that up because I think if I were watching this arc play out in real time, that would have been my indicator that Aiden was not going to be the one for her, and or that this relationship was not going to go well. Anytime you move in with someone so that you don't have to get married to them, that's probably not going to work out well.
I can't answer your question, but what I can do, or like, I don't even know there was a question.
There's no question. It's an observation.
Okay. One of the things that was happening at that time is like, I think it's the next season. No, maybe it's that. Like, there was a lot of talk behind the scenes about the way that they were like bringing Aiden in and then taking him out and then bringing him back in again, and like whether or not that made sense, and all to say, like, you're observing this and just know there were a lot of conversations happening behind the scenes. Like, is what we're doing making sense? Like, do we want to rip this guy in and out again? I think there's some real Aiden, like, I don't want to apologists, but like they just love him. And I got to tell you, the more I watch the show, the more I'm like, yeah, I think like maybe the very best decision for Carrie was really just for her to be alone.
Yeah, Aiden kind of annoyed her. He was a little annoying.
Yeah, and like you're missing out a little bit on like you might get a little bit of this flavor in the men episode, but Aiden is like not a good match for Carrie because Carrie likes to be out and about, and Aiden wants to like sit at home, and he's like a homebody, and they just don't mesh. Like, there is chemistry there, but for that long run, like, I don't think she's always going to be like the kind of person who wants to go to restaurant openings and club openings and just kind of be out there in New York society. So
2 more observations that I had. One is actually a question. It's not this one. When Aiden does finally propose to her, I had this flash to this Taylor Swift song where she says, sometimes you just don't know the answer till someone's on their knees and asks you. When Aiden proposed, that song flashed into my head because Carrie knew the answer was no, even with the different ring. I believe Carrie knew the answer was no, but she didn't want the answer to be no. So she said yes. And I found that infinitely more heartbreaking than just saying no and moving on. And then my actual question is, in The Man, the Myth, the Viagra, we're switching to Big real quick. She has this whole thing where she wants him to show up to a restaurant with her friends. He bails at the last minute, and she doesn't think he's going to come. She's sitting at the restaurant and she's wondering if he's going to come, and then he does. And it's like, big surprise. My question is that special and sweet, or is it the lowest possible bar she could have had for this man? Showing up to be with her friends when he said he was going to show up to be with her friends.
Yeah, I think it's a fair question.
Thank
I don't know. I don't know. Nikki, you don't like to go out in the rain. And Big doesn't either. Give that
Or
man a
after
break.
dark. Can't go out.
It
in the
was
rain.
also after
Can't go out
dark,
in the dark.
although he has a driver. So,
Yeah, his job is a
you
lot
know.
easier. Throw on some pants and go.
That's
I got to
right.
do pants, makeup, hair, all the things.
Drive. Yeah, drive yourself in
But-
your pants.
Watching that episode, I think that you were supposed to think, oh my God, how romantic. He showed up for her. And I'm sitting there with my 40-year-old eyes, wearing my glasses, thinking, this is the least he could do. She asked him
think
to do
you're right.
one thing.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
That's the end of my burning questions / observations.
Okay, well, I hate to do it like this, but here we go. Next up, the Men of Sex in the City episode. We love everyone to follow along and engage with us. Instagram and Facebook at Sweet Tea and TV, TikTok at Sweet Tea TV Pod, YouTube at Sweet Tea TV 7371. Our email is sweetteatvpod@gmail.com, and you can find us on the internet at sweetteatv.com. There are several ways to support the show. Tell your friends and family about us. Rate and review the podcast wherever you listen. Please, please, please do that one if you can. It really helps people find us. We have some additional ways available from the website from our support us page. And then come back Thursday for an extra sugar where I've been dropping hints all episode, not subtle, like a gun, just like me. We're going to be talking about the fashion of Sex in the City. And just like that, we'll see you on Thursday.